Well then, it seems my Undernight character overview video has done pretty well. As of late, I've been really invested in Melty Blood, so making a video on it just feels logical. If you're trying to figure out who you want to main or simply want to understand the other characters more, then you've come to the right place. Disclaimer, I'm still essentially a beginner, and making this video is kind of a way for me to better understand the game. So if I get something wrong or forget to say something important, please let me know in the comments. I'll be using various fighting game terms such as numpad notation when referring to different moves, but I will do so in a way that should be easy to understand for just about anybody. So, let's start with the guy I actually chose to main. The main character of Tsukihime, and wielder of the mystic eyes of death perception, Shiki Tono is a well-rounded character who specializes in playing at the mid-range. Like most protagonist characters, he sports an invincible Dragon Punch style reversal, which allows him to break out of the opponent's pressure and begin his own offense. While normals such as 5C, Jumping C, and the infamous 2C make excellent pokes, the greatest threat he presents in neutral comes in the form of his 236 special, which is often referred to as the Lariat. Both the B version and Moondrive version of the special have massive horizontal reach and can lead to a full combo on hit. A Lariat only leads to a combo on counter hit, but comes out surprisingly quick and can catch the opponent off guard. While Lariat should not be used as an anti-air, it cannot be blocked while the opponent is airborne. This makes it pretty useful as a way to catch the opponent if they're landing or trying to jump out of your pressure. Speaking of pressure, Shiki's offense is quite simple yet effective. Normals such as 2B that utilizes knife will deal chip damage to the opponent as they block. Both 5C and 5B move Shiki forward, letting him stay in the opponent's face for longer and maintain the threat of his throw. If you charge 5C, it becomes an unblockable move that must be shielded standing. If he does run out of his normals or gets pushed back, he has multiple ways to continue his pressure, such as performing a rebeat into one of his C normals, or using his 214 slide special. His slide is mostly used as a combo tool, but on block it leaves him only slightly minus and close to the opponent. While this isn't too scary on its own, the slide comes with a follow-up that serves as a frame trap and launches the opponent on hit. If the opponent is anticipating that follow-up, then they'll likely hold still, giving you an opportunity to reset your block string. One area in which Shiki struggles is air mobility, as his air dash has the shortest travel distance of the entire cast. This shortness is a double-edged sword, however. While it does make closing the distance against certain characters quite difficult, it also works well on offense as a way to reset pressure and bait throw techs. When Shiki performs his Arc Drive, he will enter what the community refers to as Nanaya Install, named after the character from Actress again. In this install, he gains access to 3 new special moves. 2-2A is an overhead that leads to a full combo on hit and can be feinted by holding the button. 2-2B is a very fast lunging attack that can jump scare opponents from pretty far away and lead to easy combos. 2-2C is a series of rapid slashes that covers a large amount of space above and in front of Shiki, does a lot of chip damage, and leaves you fairly safe on block. If you want a solid character that'll teach you the fundamentals of Melty Blood while still providing a few gimmicks to keep the opponent on their toes, give Shiki a try. High-level players to watch include Phantom, Aaron, Gracidia Field, and Dat Boy Uchiha. Free-spirited vampire princess and poster girl of Tsukihime, Arcueid Brunstad's personality is conveyed quite effectively in her gameplay. While most other characters have maybe one special move that essentially defines their playstyle, Arc's entire toolkit blends together to create an explosive yet flexible rushdown character. Her 236 special is a Rekka series consisting of 3 attacks. The first attack serves as an excellent mid-range poke, and on the third hit, you can choose to either go for a low or an overhead. The pressure game is both varied and hard to contest, as moves such as 623B, 214A, and the charged version of 236A all leave Arc at an advantage on block and quite close to the opponent, allowing her to essentially continue her pressure indefinitely. She has a handful of ways to mix up the opponent as well, such as the charged version of 5B, which is an overhead, and charged 5C, which is straight up unblockable, kind of like Shiki's. On top of this, her throw is significantly scarier than the rest of the cast, as it can lead to a full combo when done in the corner. All these strong pressure tools don't come in the cost of her defense or neutral game either. Her DP, which leads to a hard knockdown if you spend meter, is performed using a 2-2 input, making it practically immune to cross-up situations. She also boasts the fastest running speed in the game, and some especially strong air normals, giving her ample opportunity to blitz through neutral and begin her offensive game plan. If you want a versatile yet straightforward rushdown character, then Arcueid is the best at what she does. High-level players include Hardly, Red Blade, Yusoro, and Spotty Len. By day, she's Shiki's ever-dependable upperclassman and an avid lover of curry. But by night, she becomes a ruthless and calculating executioner of the Holy Church. Her arsenal is well-rounded and consists of many tools and techniques that one would expect to see from an assassin. Her most defining move comes in the form of her 214 special, in which she throws a series of daggers called Black Keys. With 214A, she only throws a single key, but 214B serves as the first attack in what is essentially a projectile Rekka series. Pressing B 2 more times will have her throw keys at the same angle, but pressing A after the first throw will make her throw the next handful at the head level, helping her catch opponents who are in the air. And pressing A again makes her jump up and throws the keys at a downward angle. The second A follow-up moves her forward and can be jump cancelled, making it extremely useful in both combos and block strings. Her 236 specials have her fly into the air from different angles. While in this airborne state, she can perform a multitude of follow-ups, such as throwing more keys, performing a diving attack, and even grabbing the opponent. 236C is an invincible attack that will track the opponent from anywhere on screen. And this can be used to punish the opponent for throwing out any kind of move in neutral essentially. But it should be used sparingly, as it is itself pretty punishable on block. These unique mobility options, combined with her projectiles, allow her to frustrate the opponent in neutral and pose a substantial threat from anywhere on screen. Her normals, while rather stubby compared to the rest of the cast, are very useful in pressure sequences, as many of them move her forward. If someone is attempting to pressure her, she can escape using her 2-2 DP. Her last special, 623, is a lunge that sees a lot of use in corner combos. If you like hit-and-run tactics, curry, or an excessive amount of knives, CL is right up your alley. Top players to watch include Arkema Muddykips, Kasurio, Claudipia, and Zarpox. Current head of the Tono family mansion and younger stepsister to Shiki, Akiha smothers the opponent with her powerful pressure and okizeme. In order to begin her offense, she has to win neutral and get a knockdown. While she doesn't necessarily specialize in getting in, she does have an assortment of normals and specials that'll help her in neutral. 5C and 2C are both pretty fast for the ranges that they cover. 5B will clash with and counter the opponent's attacks when charged, and JB is essentially the strongest air normal in the game. Her 623 special is an excellent anti-air that hits at an angle that most other characters don't have the luxury of covering, and 623C is your metered reversal. Her most iconic special is her 236 rings, which, among many other things, can be used in neutral to create a giant obstacle that prevents the opponent from getting in on you. Once she gets a hit, she can use her 2-1-4 specials to add plenty of corner carry to her combos. After finishing that combo and getting an air throw knockdown, she can pick between a multitude of setups that will leave her opponent guessing every time they have to wake up. Her Okizeme options include, but aren't limited to, deploying a wheel that can force the opponent to block, performing a safe jump, a high-low mix-up, and even a left-right. If said mix-up is blocked, she can use her 2-2 Shockwave special to either end her pressure safely or give herself plus frames in an attempt to reset pressure. If she has meter, she can spend it on an EX wheel as well, which will give her more than enough plus frames to create yet another mix-up situation. On top of her other forms of mix, her strike throw is notably more potent than most other characters, not just because the throws will lead back into a repressive Oki game, but because she gains a sliver of recoverable health every time a throw lands. The amount of health she gets increases when she uses her metered command grab, which also leads to a combo, and increases even further when using her arc drive. If you want a character who can potentially steamroll their way into a win off of any hit, or you're just very protective of your siblings, Akiha might be for you. High-level players to watch include Umajan, Luffy, and Gumi. The younger and more quiet of the twin maids that take care of the Tono mansion, Hisui will literally throw everything in the kitchen sink at you in order to protect the people she cares about. Her playstyle focuses on using these items to cover the screen and limit the opponent's options. Her 2-1-4 special has her toss a variety of household trinkets that can fly at different angles depending on the direction you input after performing the special. Her 2-3-6 soup ladle charge serves many purposes in both combos and block strings. Her most iconic move, however, is her 2-2 special. She serves the opponent a bento lunch that is so disgusting that it explodes on contact. While this can be used in neutral as a landmine of sorts that the opponent has to maneuver around, it sees most of its use during offense. After certain knockdowns, Hisui has time to place a bento down, which will force the opponent to block on their wake-up. This allows her to perform a multitude of mix-ups without fear of the opponent mashing out. Another move that serves a similar purpose is her 6-2-3 special. The dust cloud it creates will linger in the air for a time, preventing the opponent from jumping in on you without getting hit. The C version of Dust Cloud hits multiple times and is very useful for setting up bentos and mix-ups while in the middle of a block string. While her control over neutral is strong and her offense suffocating, she doesn't perform very well when on the back foot, as she doesn't have any form of invincible reversal outside of system mechanics. She also doesn't have many tools designed to help her really get close, so at times she has to rely on the opponent making a mistake in order to win neutral. If you enjoy set play or cooking for your friends, try out Hisui. Players to watch include Jurassic Worry, Jing, and Araz. I think that's how you pronounce it. The older of the twin maids, Kohaku, puts on a cheery facade in order to keep the rest of the Tono mansion in high spirits. She's also quite proficient at fighting with a broom. Her normals help her immensely in neutral, as most of them have long range and distorted hitboxes. Just like Kohaku's smile, however, her broom conceals something greater. Her 2-3-6 special unveils the sword hidden within her broom, and is a core component of her toolkit. It's used as a grounded poke in neutral, a massive anti-air, and a combo tool whose metered version nets Kohaku her most important knockdown. When she gets that knockdown, she can set up her infamous 2-2-B tree special, which will leave the opponent blocking for quite some time and allow Kohaku to perform whatever mix-up she wants. Her other 2-2 plants serve various purposes, ranging from spewing out fireballs to anti-airing the opponent, or hitting them with an overhead. She can also give herself more plus frames using her 2-4 special, which has her fly on her broom and drop Molotov explosives from above. Like her sister Hisui, Kohaku's offensive capabilities compensate for the fact that she lacks meaningful defensive tools. 2-4C is her only reversal, and it is itself very easy to block on reaction. If you want a simple yet set play focused game plan, or are starting to feel tired of being the positive friend in your group, Kohaku might be for you. Top level players to watch include Phantom, P-Ciel, and Drachme. Can't decide between playing one maid or the other? Why not both? By pressing 2-2D, you can swap which of the two you are controlling. The movesets of each maid are largely unchanged, except for the 2-1-4 special, which commands the maid who's not being controlled to perform an attack. Think of it as being like an assist move that you would see in team-based fighting games. This allows you to overwhelm the opponent with a multitude of gimmicks and setups. To give just a couple of examples of what you can do, you can place a tree and a bento within the same block string, letting you continue the mix-ups for longer than either maid could do individually. You can also use Hisui's 4B to water Kohaku's tree, making it so large that it obscures the opponent's vision. I could go on, but we'd be here for a while, and frankly Maids players are so rare that even I don't know the full extent of their power. However, I do know that they have the second lowest health pool in the game and have no reversals to speak of. If you can get the ball rolling on your offense, you shouldn't have to worry about that though. If you like to play team-based fighters or want a near endless bag of tricks to knowledge check the opponent with, try out the Maids. Players to watch include Gongari Bug, Toodles, and Haruhito. Before Shiki returned to the Tono mansion, he would spend a large chunk of his childhood in the Arima household. His then stepsister Miyako happens to be a practitioner of the martial art Baji Quan. Like martial artist-style characters in anime fighters, Miyako specializes in getting up in the opponent's face and sticking to him like glue. Her normals may be stubby, but the majority of them move her forward, making her pressure nearly endless if you know how to rebeat properly. Her air buttons are also very strong, especially JB, which can hit the opponent from behind and is just as effective in air-to-air situations as it is air-to-ground. On top of her stagger pressure and basic strike throw, she can use her specials to create mix-up situations. Her 2-3-6 elbow strike has a cross-up variant and comes with multiple follow-ups that you can stagger afterwards. Her DP can serve as an overhead on top of her reversal. And her J2-1-4 special, aka the People's Elbow, is an absurdly fast overhead that can cross up if spaced correctly. Her 2-1-4 lunging punch is often used as a way to get in quickly during neutral, but if charged, it gains armor and can leave Miyako plus on block. Another source of plus frame she has access to is her 2-2 Stomp. The Moon skill and EX versions of Stomp will bounce the opponent up from a distance, which makes it very useful as a surprise attack in neutral. If glue is a core component of your diet, or you're a believer in big things coming in small packages, play Miyako. Strong players to watch include Phantom, Nega Reaper, and Kawi. While Kouma is often described as Melty Blood's grappler, that doesn't fully encapsulate what this bloodthirsty Buddhist is capable of. His 2-1-4 command grab is a very important part of his toolkit, sure, but not for the reasons you would expect. It doesn't exactly do Potemkin Buster levels of damage, but it does leave Kouma in an incredibly strong knockdown situation. And since he often uses 2-1-4A as his main combo ender, he gets to run his terrifying Hokizeme game after nearly any hit he gets. His options after a knockdown are numerous and hard to counter. On top of what most other characters might have access to, such as a safe jump, he can use his other specials, like his 236 Rekka series and 2-2 stomps. The Rekka is mostly used as a combo tool, but the third hit is an overhead. By whiffing the first 2 hits while the opponent is knocked down, they will be forced to guess whether you'll complete the series with the overhead or go for a low or even a grab instead. The stomps are what grant Kouma access to his second defining mechanic, armor. If the opponent attempts to counter-hit Kouma while he's performing either a stomp, charge, normal, or 2-4B, Kouma will tank the hit and punish them instead. 2-2A serves as both an anti-air and plus-on-block pressure hander. 2-2B adds a dash at the end of the stomp, allowing you to use it in combos and reset pressure if the opponent isn't expecting it. It's not plus like 2-2A, so keep that in mind. 2-2C is where the real fun begins, as it gives Kouma armor that lasts a long while after the move ends. When performed during the opponent's wake-up, this will let you armor through any kind of reversal the opponent attempts to use except for heat and supers. On defense, he can use his 2-2B, which is considered one of the best anti-air normals in the game, as well as his variety of invincible moves. Like most characters that fall under the grappler archetype, Kouma may struggle to navigate neutral a bit, as his mobility is merely average and he doesn't have any tools that are necessarily designed to help him get in. If you're okay with that, and want to absolutely crush the opponent the moment you do get in, pick up Kouma. Top level players to watch include Lucy, Naginopo, and especially Scrot Vermilion. Noel is an original character created for the Tsukihime remake. She works as a high schooler for the fun of it, but her real job is that of a church executioner. As such, she shares a few moves with her fellow nun P-Ciel, such as a 2-2 DP, a JB that can hit behind her, and the ability to throw black keys, though there are many ways in which the two differ as well. For instance, while P-Ciel is throwing out so many keys that I think she's pulling them out of hammer space, Noel has a limited stock of keys and can only use 10 per round. In turn, each key is significantly more powerful, leaving at a great advantage on block. When keys are used on offense, she can reset her turn by following up with either another key throw or a dash cancel. Her pressure is also helped by her spear, which gives her normals plenty of range. 2B is very notable as it hits twice, reaches very far, and can be used as a weird anti-air in some situations. 5C has a unique vacuum effect on hit, allowing Noel to stay in the opponent's face and continue her pressure. Her 6-2-3 specials are mainly used as combo tools, but can be used to catch the opponent jumping out of your pressure or in neutral. Her 2-4 specials, however, are almost exclusively combo tools. If you want a solid character with an emphasis on mid-range control and safe pressure, try out Noel. Players to watch include Kitty, Lunar, and Ridori. Ah, honest mids, Michael. Don't let the nickname fool you. This immortal lightning wielder is very scary to go up against. If I had to compare him to any other fighting game character, I'd choose Ramlethal from Guilty Gear. Both of their game plans consist of taking control over neutral, using their powerful mid-range presence, and keeping you locked down in the corner with plus frames. Roa's primary neutral tools are his 2-4 specials, known as the Thunder Needles. The A version covers a massive chunk of space in front of him, while B Needle strikes in an angle that can hit people out of the air. These two versions can be cancelled into each other as well, allowing for easy hit confirms so long as you have the meter to spend. The Moon Skill Needle can't be followed up into other needles, but it covers a large amount of space and can lead to a full combo even without meter. Once you build up your magic circuit, then the party really gets going. 2-4C not only allows you to convert any of your random neutral hits into a full combo, but it's also massively advantageous on block, especially if spaced out correctly. This will let you reset your offense at any point, even if you've used up all your normals. Speaking of those normals, many of them move Roa forward, which means that if you know how to use rebeats effectively and or have the meter to spend on 214C when needed, you can stay in the opponent's face for as long as you want and make your strike throw an ever-present threat. Roa's other specials include a very strong DP that nets you a knockdown similar to Shiki's, and a lightning-quick lariat that becomes advantageous on block if done from a distance. The C version of lariat acts a lot like CL's 236C and travels full screen. His last special is an air attack that stalls his momentum and sees a lot of use in combos. If you want a character who's so solid that the community calls him fumble-proof, then allow yourself to become possessed by Roa. Top players to watch include King Rasta, Lucy, D-Dive, and Moai. A minor antagonist that was created for the remake of Tsukihime, Vlov Archangel is Type Lumina's signature zoner. Similar to Hilda from Under Night or the Murakuma units from BlazBlue, Vlov's game plan centers around filling the screen with projectiles and shutting down whatever the opponent wants to do in neutral. His 236 fireballs are especially strong, as they can be fired off in rapid succession, cover multiple angles, and are usually quite advantageous on block. If the opponent blocks 236B and Vlov has resources, he can perform an air unblockable attack and get a full combo. While his fireballs cover the air, his 2-2 special sends a shockwave that covers the entire ground at once. This can be followed up with another shockwave that frame traps on block and juggles the opponent on hit. 2-2C is very plus on block and can be used to convert any stray hit in neutral into a full combo. These fire attacks aren't his only layer of defense, however. To cover the close to mid-range, Vlov carries a machete that is used in nearly all of his normals, as well as his 214 Rekka series. The last hit of said Rekka can either be a launcher or a command grab, making it somewhat useful as a mix-up tool. Unfortunately, like most zoners, Vlov has no invincible tools outside of system mechanics, and his A normals are slower than average, rendering him unable to mash his way out of situations other characters would not have a problem with. But getting overwhelmed on defense is not the end of the world for him, as he holds one final trump card that only comes into play once he's a round away from losing the game. When pushed to his limits, Vlov reveals his true power, the ability to freeze. His 236 and 2-2 specials transform from flames to ice and receive plentiful buffs, ranging from faster startup and travel time to greater damage on both hit and block. If you want to play a single-player game, or simply want to hear the deep, rich voice of Kenjiro Suda, pick up Vlov. High-level players to watch include Misoma, Coin, Akimi, and Jurassic Worry. Arcueid gives into her vampiric bloodlust and unleashes the full extent of her power. Red Arcueid, aka Warc for some reason, has a few things in common with the regular version of Arc, such as her fast run speed, charged 5B overhead, a combo off throw in the corner, and a strong 2-hitting JB, but has a much greater emphasis on trickery and dominance in neutral. Her most effective special in neutral is her iconic ring projectiles. Not only do these rings greatly bolster Warc's grounded mid-range game, but they especially shine when performed in the air. The air moon skill rings are often referred to as ejector seat due to the boost in air momentum you get while using it. J214C is Warc's main metered combo ender, and after using it to get a knockdown, she can perform a variety of mix-ups that utilize her 623 teleport specials. During pressure, she can use the armor frames on her chargeable moves like 5B and 5C to discourage mashing, and use her unblockable 2C follow-up move to mix the opponent. Her 236 special is an anti-air that doubles as a good block string ender, and even a source of plus frames if spaced out correctly. 236C is her metered reversal. If you want an offense-oriented all-rounder who will let you run circles around the opponent, then let your instincts run wild with Red Arcueid. Top-level players to watch include Shinoa, Drizzy, and Kikoho. The first of many characters to come from Tsukihime's sibling franchise Fate, and a servant modeled after King Arthur himself, Saber is a jack-of-all-trades who rules over the mid-range. Gameplay-wise, she shares a lot of moves and traits with Ryogi Shiki from the older versions of Melty. Both feature above-average mobility tools, some of the best long-reaching normals in their games, and a 236 Rekka series with low and overhead follow-ups that make her corner pressure especially difficult to escape. The rest of Saber's specials are unique to her. 22C is often used at the end of her Rekkas in order to make herself plus on block and reset her pressure. If the opponent tried to jump out of the corner, Saber can catch them using one of her 623 specials, which are also used in a lot of her combos. 623C is your metered reversal. Another staple of her combos is the 214 specials, which are often called Dandy Step for relatively obvious reasons. 214A is most often used in the corner. 214B is somewhat useful in mid-screen neutral. And 214C is Saber's go-to move for spending meter near the end of any combo. By charging 214A or B, you can perform a feint. The 4BC moon skill is a safe on block overhead that is jump cancelable on hit and block. She also has a dive kick that is safe on block, can be made plus if charged, and leads to a full combo if it hits. Saber is one of the two characters to have more than one arc drive, and her second super Avalon is a frame 1 parry that deals a lot of damage and heals Saber. When she has 3 bars of meter, the opponent has to be extremely careful during their offense. If you like Kai's sword normals and Guilty Gear, or are a fan of the Fate series, pick up Saber. Players to watch include Junbear, Made in Heaven, and Klops. Partway through Tsukihime's story, Noel is gravely injured and, out of desperation, allows herself to become a vampire. Now in her new and alarmingly young-looking body, she goes on a rampage and uses her plethora of projectiles and setups to crush anyone who stands in her way. Thanks to her small stature, she is very fast both on the ground and in the air. Combine that with her 6C and 236 series of projectiles, and she can play a very strong keep-away game. If you hold the button after inputting 236, the spear she summons will stay in place for a short time before firing, allowing you to move around while they're active. Another tool that helps her zoning is her 214 special, which plants a handful of spears in the ground. These spears not only serve as projectiles on their own, but also become landmines once they're planted. By inputting her 2-2 special, Dead Apostle Noel can detonate these mines whenever she wants, granting her a full combo or plus frames on block if the opponent is caught within its radius. This detonation ability is actually what grants Dan some of the most powerful Okizeme in the game. After ending a combo with 214C, she can mix the opponent in a bajillion different ways. The opponent will have to guess between strike throw, high-low, and left-right all in the same knockdown. And after they inevitably guess wrong, Dan can convert into another combo, end in another 214C, and run the mix all over again. Characters of this zoning set play archetype usually don't work well on the back foot, but Dan has, surprisingly, an invincible DP. The A version of this DP is also jump cancelable on hit, making it a highly effective anti-air and combo tool. Fair warning though, if you play Dan, the entire Melty Blood community will hate you, and the FBI will be at your doorstep. I'm kidding. You can play her if you want. She's fun. Players to watch include Lunar, Tintan 100, and Yunjmi. Shiki's mentor figure, Aoko Aozaki, is considered to be the most powerful character within the Tsukihime universe. And that definitely comes across in her gameplay. She's so powerful that she defies Melty Blood's very system mechanics by being the only character who has access to a third jump and a second air dash, outside of Moondrive, of course. On top of that, her magic abilities give her potentially the most versatile moveset in the game. Most of that versatility is thanks to her iconic orbs. The orbs come in two varieties. The 2 and 4 orbs are referred to as proximity orbs, since they detonate only when the opponent makes contact with them, and will otherwise remain on screen. Of the two kinds, this one is used more often in neutral, as it presents an obstacle that the opponent must circumnavigate if they want to get to Aoko herself. The second kind, which is bound to the 412 input, is often referred to as the held orb, since it stays on screen for as long as you hold the button. When used on offense, held orb presents a threat entirely unique to Aoko that makes the rest of her offense terrifying to contest against. The detonation of this orb can be used to make attacks advantageous on block when they would have been minus otherwise, take hits that normally wouldn't mean anything and convert to full combos, and punish the opponent if they attempt to retaliate. Orbs are nowhere near the only tool in her kit, but if I don't rapid fire through the rest of her specials, I'm gonna be here for a while, so... 236A is a multi-purpose Rekka series consisting of laser beams. 236B and its moon skill variant can hit the opponent from full screen, and 236C is highly advantageous on block and will net you a solid knockdown from anywhere on screen. The 2-2 specials are crazy strong anti-airs that double as safe block string enders. Both 2-2B and 2-2C are plus on block, and the 2BC moon skill is often used as a panic button, especially in Moondrive. 623A and 623B are a low and overhead respectively that are used in combos more than anywhere else. 623C is your metered reversal. Alright, I think that's it. If you want a master of all trades that only gets better as you dig deeper into her toolkit, Aoko will give you everything you could want and more. Top level players to watch include Shinoa, Taka, StarX_, and A. When pushed to her limits, CL will discard her usual nun attire and unleash her secret weapon, the 7th Holy Scripture. The tools that comprise this 7th Holy Scripture include a rifle, a pile bunker, and a sword that can break apart into a whip. Powered CL's game plan reminds me a lot of Phonon from Under Night In-Birth. Both characters use their massive weapons to oppress the opponent from mid-range and make it impossible for them to escape. To that end, P-Ciel utilizes her far-reaching normals such as 5C, 2C, and JC, as well as her 236 Rekka series. The series of A Rekkas use the gun, the B series use the sword, and at any point she can press C to pull out her pile bunker. 236A is a matchup-defining neutral poke that comes out incredibly quick for its range. 236B can become an overhead if charged, and 236C has armor, travels very far, and leaves her plus on block at the exact range she wants to be at. On top of all this safe long-range pressure, she has many tools that restrict the opponent's movement in neutral. For instance, the A version of her DP serves as a massive anti-air that is jump cancelable on whiff and leads to a combo on hit. Her 2-4 special, which summons a Pillar of Lightning, doesn't see as much use as her other moves, but can still be used to snuff out the opponent's approach, as well as make yourself safe on block or even plus after certain moves. If you want to keep the opponent locked down and make them squirm, Power CL will serve you well. Top level players to watch include Aaron, Omni Scythe, and Arkma Muddy Kips. Hang on, this kid is like 13. How is he a priest? Well, it looks like the power's already gone to his head, because he treats the nuns he's supposed to watch over like they're puppets. As you'd expect, Mario Gallo Bestino is Melty's equivalent to the puppeteer archetype that's seen in other anime fighting games. While he doesn't come with any complex control mechanics that you'd see in other puppet characters, his playstyle does come with all the trappings of the archetype, including full screen zoning using the nuns, and a healthy dose of set play. 236A is a move that you are going to be using a lot, as it covers the entire ground, cannot be interrupted by hitting Mario himself, and leads to a combo if you have meter to spend on 236C. 214A functions similarly, but it can also be done in the air and is plus unblock when done in the corner. 214A and 236A can be used in tandem to create frame traps from a distance. 236B is a Rekka series that ends with the nuns standing behind the opponent. This sandwich position can be pretty important during some combos and pressure sequences. If the opponent attempts to jump to avoid all these grounded moves, Mario can snipe them out of the sky using his 623 specials, which are also staples in his combos. Upon getting a knockdown, he can use 214B to throw out chakrams and set up a variety of mix-up situations. Pressure is also where his normals start to shine. They're all pretty stubby on their own, but most of them either advance him forward, hit more than once, or do both. One area in which Mario struggles is defense. His stubbiness makes it difficult to match out of pressure against characters with greater range, and he has no reversals to speak of outside of system mechanics. He can, however, use his 2-2 specials to make one of his nuns take a hit for him and perform a counterattack. I would advise against using these parries as a wake-up option, since none of them are active on frame 1 except for the Moon skill version, specifically when it is used in Moon Drive. If you like puppet characters in other games, or secretly have a superiority complex, Mario might be your character. High-level players to watch include Zack the Mech Lord, Vivian, and Kirby Sage. Poster girl for the Fate Grand Order mobile game and prominent member of the Shield Gang! Shield Gang! Shield Gang! Mash Kyrielite is a simple yet effective rushdown character who wants to bulldoze her way through neutral and stick to the opponent like the glue she eats. Her primary get-in move is her 236 special, Buster Swing, a safe on-block charge that uses her signature shield. 236B will knock the opponent up on hit, giving you a combo afterwards, and the charged version of 236B will clash with any move it comes in contact with and counter-hit the opponent. She also comes with a dive kick, allowing her to attack from angles that most characters can't. Her 2-2 special is a ground slam that creates a shockwave. This can be used in neutral, in corner combos, and as a frame trap in pressure. Her 2-4 special is mainly a combo tool, but the Moon skill is an overhead that can be jump cancelled, letting you create very unique pressure situations. Another overhead the opponent has to look out for is J214, which is plus on block as well. This can either be Tiger Kneed or used as a metered pressure reset after using a special. Mash isn't a slouch on defense either, as she sports an invincible DP. The A version of her DP is jump cancelable on hit, making it pretty useful in combos and as a high-risk, high-reward anti-air. If you play Tsurugi in Under Night or Captain America in Marvel vs. Capcom, or you have a bad habit of blowing your money on gacha games, try out Mash. High-level players to watch include Neko Reaper, Rakir, and Amiro D. Edmond Dantes, the protagonist of the novel The Count of Monte Cristo, makes an appearance as a servant in Fate Go. In Melty Blood, he becomes the closest thing the game has to a Shoto-style character. His moveset features the tools you'd expect, such as an invincible DP and a full-screen projectile in the form of his laser beams. His 2-4A is a Rekka series in which the final attack can be a low, an overhead, or a command grab. While all of these follow-ups are pretty punishable on their own, Dantes can spend meter on his 2-2C to leave himself plus on block or combo after a successful hit. Other strong tools in his arsenal include his C normals. 2C is an excellent long-range sweep, and 5C is a massive multi-purpose button that moves Dantes forward during pressure and is used in nearly all of his combos. His arc drive is rather unique in that it's a long-reaching command grab that becomes active on the first frame after the super flash. It's up there as one of the count's strongest moves, as it can be used as an unreactable mix-up tool, as well as a reversal and combo ender. While he has every possible tool he might need to win, none of these tools are particularly strong in comparison to similar tools used by other characters. On top of that, the majority of his normals are slower to start up than average and leave him in a longer recovery when whiffed. He will inevitably be outclassed by the rest of the cast, so it's up to the Dantes player to use his tools to their fullest. If you come from another fighting game and want a well-rounded character that feels familiar, or you just like his flowing coat, then exact your revenge with the Count of Monte Cristo. Players to watch include Masoma, Blue Thunder, and Q-Blau. A servant modeled after the Japanese war general Yoshitsune, Ushiwakamaru is a mix-up focused rushdown character, who heavily resembles Shiki and Naya from the previous versions of Melty Blood. The major thing that these two characters have in common is a move known as Fast Fall, which halts all their horizontal air momentum and brings them straight back to the ground. This allowed Naya to create mix-up situations on the opponent's wake-up that were incredibly difficult to react to. This mix-up potential is bolstered for Ushi, as she can alternate between using her regular fast fall and her Air 236 special, which moves her forward slightly, crossing over to the other side of the opponent. Another thing the two have in common is a 2-1-4B lunging attack that will leave them on the other side of the opponent if performed at close range. Ushi's 2-1-4A makes her assume a stance from which she can unleash either a plus-on-block version of the lunge attack or an anti-air attack, which is also seen in her 6-2-3 specials. The 4BC Moon skill is highly effective in neutral, as it teleports her across the screen, is jump cancelable on whiff, and creates a massive wall of slashes, which will catch unsuspecting opponents. Outside of Okizeme mix-ups, Ushi's offense can be pretty one-note, as her normals push her back significantly and make her rebeats not nearly as scary as those of other characters. She can, however, reset her pressure using specials such as 236A, which can be followed up with either an overhead that can be made plus on block, or a teleport that forces the opponent to guess which side you'll appear on. Her 2-2 teleports, while a niche in their usage, only serve to add to her bag of movement and mix-up tools. While Ushi's agility and offensive potential are immense, she is unfortunately a glass cannon who is tied with Maids for having the second lowest health pool in the game. If you play speedy ninja-style characters in other fighting games, or you think Wi-Fi is okay if you're close to the router, try out Ushiwakamaru. High-level players to watch include Fushi and Zack the Mech Lord. I've decided to save this creature for last, since she's in a pretty strange spot. Objectively speaking, Neco Arc is the worst character in the game. She's supposed to be a joke character after all. She has the lowest health, does pretty low damage in her combos, and a lot of her moves will literally not function properly, like a throw not giving hard knockdown or a DP being throwable. But the thing is, she's not trying to win by conventional means. Her main objective is to create as much chaos as possible. If she's able to keep the opponent away for long enough, she can use her 4-1-2 special to randomly select from a plethora of summons and items. Get enough of these things on screen, and even highly skilled players will have trouble navigating neutral. Nearly all of her other specials make her hard to catch, that way she can continue to throw out these summons. Her 236 is a massive laser beam. 214 forces the opponent to guess where she'll pop out, similar to Faust Scarecrow's actually. And her J214 gives her access to a form of air mobility wholly unique to her. Also, J236 is what you get when someone says you have Warc at home. Neco Arc is also the only character besides Saber to have 2 arc drives, but unlike Saber, both of them are mainly used as damage and combo enders. Even then, they actually do less damage than the arc drives of other characters. If you don't want to take the game too seriously and just want to annoy your friends, Neco Arc is perfect for that. Players to watch include Yorhei, Kuri, and Shavix.